What if your belief in something caused you to be shunned by others? You're picked on day in and day out, causing you to further isolate yourself from others and causing you to think negatively of the people around you who might in fact have your best interest in mind. One day, just by happenstance, you're helped out by a pretty girl who sits next to you in order to stop people from picking on you. From here, you spark up a conversation about both of your interests in the paranormal, and a great funny misadventure commences. Hey everyone, Acid here, back at it again with another manga review, this time reviewing a hilarious, awesome shonen seinen series by the name of Dandadan by Tatsu Yokinobu on both story and the art. The series has actually been on Shonen Jump Plus, their website, since April, I believe only in Japan, and has been quite the success. It was just recently released on the Manga Plus app for us out here in the West, fully translated, and it's been a simulcast release, which I believe means that it's actually both new chapters are going to be coming out in Japan and in the West at the same time. And right off the bat, I want to say that Tatsu Yokinobu is not only amazing at art, but his writing ability for this manga is really, really good. It has absurd humor and an overarching plot that will make you laugh every time as it takes twists, and it just really gets really funny and really great at the same time. It has deep character and dramatic moments that will actually make you cry. One of the arcs towards the later chapters deals with this yokai or spirit that has this deep character background and redeems themselves in such a tragic way. And the way you learn about them through the series, it's through a series of panels with no dialogue, and it was honestly amazing, especially for kind of like a throwaway villain, or not a throwaway arc, because it develops a side character that you meet later on, but the fact that it's almost like this side villain who's actually kind of weak but has this deep story and has this deep climactic ending that is just so sad and really kind of reminded me of Death Note in the way, the fact that like if you do not achieve nirvana, you actually just become nothing as a spirit. If you don't let go of all the things that are holding you onto earth, you just disintegrate and become nothingness, and it's just really sad. Even the comment section of the Manga Plus app was full of people really feeling it and getting in their feels. Shonen Jump has had a lot of series recently that deals with spirits and yokai and try to blend humor and action, but a lot of them were canceled very early. Phantom Seer, etc. is just some of the ones that come to mind. So it's great to see a manga like this that truly stands out and is just very unique. Some quick pros: amazing art, absurd humor, wonderful character moments and character growth for our main characters, particularly one of our main characters, Okura, I believe is the nickname that they give him. Recently in the chapters, he's going through like this very deep, not deep, but yeah, I would say it's deep character development where he's trying to get stronger. He's trying to become a better person for our main heroine, Ayase, and also for himself because of his past as just being like this nerdy not weakling, but he is a weakling. And he's really trying to train and become stronger so that he can protect her and help her and just be a better person for himself and her. And it's just very wonderful and very loving in a way. The only con I could find is that it is a bit of a slow start, and I'll kind of touch on this a little bit further on. When the chapters get going, you have to suspend your disbelief because of how absurd it gets, especially when you get to the supernatural and paranormal part. I think the manga does a good job with its opening sequence because it shows us who Ayase Momo, our main heroine, is as a character, and gives us a good action scene from the jump. It does kind of show you how absurd this is going to get but it doesn't really prepare you as to how far in absurdity it's going to get. So while it is a kind of good start, I will say that it's a bit slow to get you into the absurd paranormal aspect of it, that when it hits you, if you're not prepared, it could turn you off from it. But as that ball gets rolling, it just gets better and better. As is tradition, the marketing summary is as follows, and right after the marketing summary, I'm going to jump into spoilers and kind of review it from the spoilers aspect and kind of like throw up scenes that I think are very strong and kind of give my thoughts on them. So please, if you don't want to spoil this series, give Dandadan a chance. Just go read it. You can read the first chapter for free on Viz's website. You just have to log in because it is an 18 and plus manga because of some of the adult subject matter it deals with. So go give it a chance. I highly recommend it. So we're going to jump into the marketing summary and then a full in-depth review. So the marketing summary is as follows. After being aggressively rejected, Momo Ayase finds herself sulking when she stumbles across a boy being bullied. Saved by her rash kindness, the occult-obsessed boy attempts to speak to her about supernatural interests he believes they share. Rejecting his claims, Ayase proclaims that she is instead a believer of ghosts, starting an argument between the two over which is real. In a bet to determine who's correct, the two decide to separately visit locations associated with both the occult and the supernatural, Ayase visiting the former and the boy visiting the latter. When the two reach their respective places, it turns out that neither of them are wrong, and both the occult and ghosts do exist. This marks the beginning of Ayase and the boy's adventure, who shares the name with Ayase's favorite idol, Takakura, as they attempt to fix the surreal, supernatural, and sci-fi elements around them and return to a normal life. The marketing summary is very spot on. It really does deal with both the occult and the supernatural, and obviously occult and supernatural are actually both one. And what the manga really tries to do is that it tries to let you know that both the sci-fi elements and the supernatural elements actually go hand in hand. That part of it is just interesting within itself. So the manga opens up with Ayase being dumped by her delinquent boyfriend, and she actually gets into a small fist fight with him. And you come to learn that she knew he was bad, but she only dated him because he looked like her idol, Takakura, who's an actor and someone she looks up to. And I think that it's this quick opening sequence does a good job in establishing who Ayase is as a character. She's idealistic, she's a bit headstrong, but she's willing to stand up for what she believes in and herself, which you see when she meets our second protagonist, Takakura Ken, or Okuda as she calls him throughout the series, because she calls him Occult-kun because he likes the occult, and the fact that his name is Takakura, so Okuda. You learn that she's very confrontational, and she seeks confrontation when she sees something that she doesn't like, which is how she meets him. She sees him being bullied by some people and immediately sits next to him, again proving Tatsu's skill in art. She looks very fierce and beautiful when she sits next to him, and her character design, especially in the scene, is just really appealing. Like, you see her and you're like, oh man, I want to know more about her. Akura follows Ayase out of class, misunderstanding her intentions, thinking that she sat next to him because she wanted to kind of learn about what he was reading, she asks him what he's reading, and he says about UFOs and stuff, so he thinks she's interested. This kind of sparks off their friendship and romantic spark, because they start arguing over the paranormal, and even Ayase's friends kind of say like, oh, she's moved on from her Takakura type to, like, the nerdy type. Akura's into UFOs, Ayase's into spirits, and they both believe the other is wrong in terms of its existence. So they kind of challenge each other and kind of not bully each other, but kind of make fun of one another. And then they're like, all right, I challenge you to this. And so Ayase visits a spot that's known for UFO encounters, and Okura visits a spot that's known for its spiritual presence and spiritual encounters. Now, you can see kind of what I mean about some of the slow start. You get some very deep character moments here, and the building up of the series' overarching supernatural plot kind of starts here. Again, this is what I mean by a slow start. We're almost 20 pages in, and we have yet to really have a big event happen or the overarching plot established. But that's okay, because this kind of manga, like Tatsu, the mangaka, has made it so that every page is interesting and builds off of one another. And it gets us, the readers, hooked on what exactly is going to happen next. You learn about Akura here, but you learn more so about Ayase and how she tells him that she was bullied for her beliefs, but how it made her kind of stronger and made her realize that she shouldn't care what people think about her. Akura is obviously this geeky coward, but he's facing this challenge head on despite being terrified. You don't really learn much about him till later, but he is an interesting character because of how he rushes to meet this challenge head on as well. The pacing is kind of slow but wholesome, and then boom, we get hit with the supernatural stuff as Okura is confronted by the spirit of Turbo Granny, who is the one who haunts this tunnel and becomes one of the major parts of the series going forward, as well as the overarching plot. This is where the adult humor starts and why the series is for adults only. Ayase is kind of confronted by aliens and abducted by them, who are trying to harvest the banana organs, meaning humans' reproductive organs. They state that they can only reproduce via cloning, and that has caused issues for them, so they're trying to capture women to essentially reproduce, because they don't want to do cloning anymore. They want to try to evolve their species. The dialogue here is hilarious, and on the flip side of this, you have Okura, who's been cursed by the spirit of Turbo Granny. Eventually, the climax is that Okura learns to kind of control Granny's spiritual powers enough to teleport to Ayase and try to help her. This is when you finally learn about Okura as he confesses his love for UFOs, but how it caused him to be bullied like Ayase. And you know, he really speaks about how her standing up for him and talking to him means to him that, you know, he was both ignored by humans and UFOs, and that when she did what she did, it really meant a lot to him, enough so that he's willing to throw away his reproductive organs to save her. And Ayase uses this climactic moment to tap into a spiritual power that she really didn't know she had. The memories of everything that her grandmother taught her kind of resurfaced, and she was able to harvest the spiritual power enough to break free, defeat the aliens, and save Okura. And she kind of learns to keep the Turbo Granny's spirit, or like her possession of Okura, in control enough for Okura to really be like a normal human, but he has to constantly be next to Ayase because she has to see him in order to really use her powers. The plot twist here is that the Turbo Granny has devoured Okura's schlong, and in order for him to get it back, they need to defeat Turbo Granny in the tunnel she resides over, which is like her most powerful area. This is a hilarious overarching plot that only gets more absurd as it goes. The first chapter ends with Okura formally introducing himself to Ayase, and the start of a romantic spark between them as they resolve to get Okura's schlong back. From here, the manga really doesn't take a break in terms of character development and action. It just kind of keeps going. It throws encounter after encounter. But Takakura and Ayase continue to have moments where their friendship grows and they learn more about each other and get ready for the fight against Turbo Granny. The second chapter has another boss fight and confrontation. The third chapter kind of kicks off this epic fight against Turbo Granny. The pacing is done well, and just when you think you're going to get a training arc, the story really hits you with a sense of urgency and then continues to develop even after the Turbo Granny arc. You just continue to learn more about spirits and yokai, and Okura still has issues even after he gets his schlong back. At the same time, there's a lot of romantic elements as a romance starts to develop between Okura and Ayase, and you get some really good school day slice of life moments, and like their timidness about how they really want to talk to one another because they're going through this moment where Ayase wants to talk more about UFOs with him. He wants to talk more about spirits with her. They start to share very similar interests, and they start bickering and arguing like a young couple, and they have a lot of misunderstandings, and you know, like just like anyone who has never really had a romantic experience before have. And like that feeling of wanting to be with each other constantly starts to kind of develop and overflow, and there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of things like that that start to happen as, you know, Okura wants to be her friend and Ayase wants to be you know, his friend, or you know, vice versa. But their feelings for each other start to kind of turn into something else, and everyone around them is saying like, you guys are kind of like falling for each other, and they refuse to believe it. Again, the overarching plot continues to get more and more absurd, but if you're willing to suspend your disbelief and go with it, you're in for a hilarious treat with deep and sad moments alongside great character development moments and great fight scene. This is it for this review, guys. Please check out Dandadan on you can read it on Viz's website or the Manga Plus app. All you have to do is log in. The first chapter is completely free, and then you just have to have a membership to continue reading from there. But that's it for this review, guys. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.